Hi, everybody. This is Miss Fink. We're going to try some online learning here with a little lesson about fiction genres. I know many of you have shared with me some of your favorite books or favorite characters on Seesaw, which I loved. Some of you gave me some nonfiction books that you like because you like learning about things, and a lot of you gave me fiction ones. And we're going to talk about fiction today. As you can see from our big screen here, I did a little slideshow, and this is about fiction genres. I do like to say it like that, genres. It just sounds fancier. So we're going to start with reviewing what fiction means. And we know that because we've done this before. And we know that fiction books are fake. Fiction fake. That's an easy way to remember it. They're not real. Somebody just made up the story off the top of their heads. They're not true stories, and they don't give you facts and information. We know fact books are the nonfiction books. We're talking about fiction, which means fake. Well, all fiction books can be put into two genres. You can say it like that, genres. And that's two main categories is what we mean. There are lots and lots of little categories that we can divide books up into, but all of them go into one of two. And the first one is fantasy. I used a fancy font there, fantasy. And the other one is realistic. And today we're going to focus very quickly on fantasy books. Fantasy, you can see all these different pictures I put up of books there. Fantasy books are the easiest ones to recognize. That's when you go, oh, well, yeah, I know that's made up. I know that's fake. I know that couldn't happen. And there are things like magic. For example, we have The Wizard of Oz. We read that together last year, where we know a magical tornado and the witches with the powers, and we know those things don't really happen in real life, but they're fun to read about. We also have made up creatures. So I brought in here dragon. We know there really aren't dragons in the world, and certainly not ones that are looking for friends and things like that, but they're fun to imagine that. Anything that you say, that creature doesn't exist, that's not real, then you can say, oh, that's a fantasy book. Now, the next one is a really big word. Unfortunately, I can't highlight it on my screen. It's called personification. I'd love it if you get to know that word, personification. We talked about this in kindergarten as well. And personification just means something that isn't a human, that isn't a person. It could be an animal, it could be an object, somehow is acting like a person. So I have an example here of llama llama. And there we've got animals who are wearing clothes. Uh, Animals are objects talking, which is also llama mama. And we've got, or llama llama, sorry. We've also got Truck Town, where all sorts of vehicles have eyes and mouths and they talk and they move around. Or any of those types of creatures, animals, cars, chairs, whatever, coming to life and doing things that humans do, that people do, that a person would do. Driving, living in a house, typing, anything like that. So, as we said before, it's like we have Magic Tree House here. They have a magic book that takes them anywhere in time and all around the world. And this one is about interacting with dinosaurs, which we know is not possible. People were not around when dinosaurs were, and they certainly wouldn't be riding dinosaurs and things like that. So, again, fantasy is when you have anything that's impossible. So, what I want you to do for your assignment for this week is I would like you to think about a book that maybe you have read, or it could be one I read to you this year or last year in kindergarten, or maybe a book that you've read with your family. Might be your favorite book that you already told me about if it was a fiction book. And I want you to find one that's fantasy. So again, that means it has magic, or it could have a made up creature, or it's got personification, something that's not a person acting like a person, or just anything that's impossible. And I would love it if you would share that with me on Seesaw. I'll have a little template that you can type in if you'd like, But of course, I always love to see your smiling faces if you send me a video or an audio comment to tell me something about a fantasy book. And then next time, next week, we'll talk about the realistic books. So go on, tell me a little bit about a fantasy book. It's okay if it's not your favorite. Just can you think of a book that's fantasy and why you know it's fantasy? You can always use this slide to help you. So happy reading. I look forward to your answers.